Hi, I'm Ran East, and today we're going to fix a few things that weren't working so well in the past, such as the ramp into the corner and the starting gate. Now, I wonder what this wire does. After some careful evaluation of the fitment of this to the corner, I've realized that there is not enough here of a rise to get up to the corner and will probably cause a lip, which could result in crashes and potentially death. So what I've done is I've cut some strips of the cereal box to add in the lift that I need. I've measured very carefully with my eyeball, and I will put them in place and trim them off and see how it fits. And it fits quite smoothly too, I might add. It's time to put on the mat. So just to get a rough idea of how big the trampoline mat is and how much of it I've used, not quite half yet. As my last video said, I barely put a dent in it. I guess this is a pretty big dent. I'll lay the track on here, staple it down, pull it as tight as I can this way, staple it here, hope it doesn't go all the way through the wood. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, because it tends to want to crown in the middle, and it's very difficult to get it flat. So I think what I'll need to do is lay it out here, pull. Luckily I've got these tabs that I left on here from the trampoline. Hopefully it's flat. Now some of you may wonder where I get my ingenuity from. Many of you grew up watching Bob Vila, got your ideas from him. Myself, I grew up watching Red Green, much to my wife's chagrin. So this is relatively flat. Just have to trim off the excess here once I figure out what kind of overlap I need. So I've got my entryway, and I just have to trim this up so it will fit and staple it down. Look at that. Just a little strip of the tape of the duck and we should be good. Side rails. I'm so happy I found it. My favorite knife. I was pulling out some parts from my cardboard mountain here, and lo and behold, what just dropped out. This is my favorite knife. So I've cut one piece of the sides of the track. I'd call it a guardrail, but it's cardboard. How much guard could it give? The other side that goes here is a little higher, and I want this to match up. The only problem is this piece of cardboard that I have here, I used all my manpower to rip it off the box and kind of ripped it. Now I could get a new one, but I was thinking maybe I'd like to have a bit of a curve going up. So what I'm going to attempt to do is cut a curve into it. I will just try freehanding it. Ay. And scissors will straighten that right out. So measure. And there-ish. Overlap here so that the cars don't hit this wall. Now let's staple it on. Measure once and cut till it's too short. Okay. Oh, dang. Oh, no, I think we're good. Okay. Let's mark. Oh, I've got a mark there already. Weird. Okay, let's mark the other side. Okay. And cut. One of the things you always have to be careful is make sure you don't cut off the wrong side. Because I do that a lot. Cut this a little bit more. So it'll bend over. Probably cut too much. It took too much, man. Too much. Fear and Loathing reference, if you're wondering. Okay. Sounds like my camper van. Oh, this is gonna be hard. I may, you know what? Duct tape. Bye. Ah, that makes it so much easier. Although, if I cut this a little bit more, I can sculpt it. There we go. Well, once again, I cut too much, but well. Like I said before, measure once, measure never, and cut till it's too short. It's accidentally my adage. Okay. And done. Check out my camera stand for my last segment of video. Hey. Who needs fancy equipment? I'm gonna go meet Moby. This is my not 1:64 scale Dodge 250 camper van. It's a 1981. We repainted it last year with some trim clad gray and some box liner, straightened out the bumper, did a lot of work to it. But now, unfortunately, it is in need of a carburetor. There she is. Isn't she a beauty? Love this old van. So I mentioned that I have to change the carburetor in my camper van. If you think I'm inept at carpentry, you should see my mechanical skills. I'd film it, but there's already a show. It's called Roadkill, and they do a much better job than me. Let's see a good use for broomsticks, other than, of course, for flying. That's what happens when you're not very tall. Nailed it. This is a sill tray from a window. I cut it to use for my start gate, but I decided not to use it because it just didn't work very well. These are from a bifold door. I got my springs from my start gate out of there. This is a shelf from a small IKEA shelf that I used to hold my phone up at the start gate to watch the cars go down the track. See what else have I got in here. Oh, spring from a trampoline. I've got a few of those in here. Other little springs. Got casters. Oh, another little spring. Parts from a baby gate. Hooks. Oh, that little bracket will be good for something, I'm sure. And that is my tray of random junk. As you can see, I never really throw anything away. Oh, and in case you're wondering or care, yes, this is the bin I got down earlier. It was empty. I switched it out because I want to use this as a toolbox. So I need to put some tools in it for my other endeavors today. This was my lunchbox when I was a kid because my dad had this lunchbox, and I wanted to be just like my dad. That lunchbox is full of random stuff too. I think it's mostly door hardware. So a total fail on my sidewalls, as I'd forgotten that this is supposed to run on the inside of this, and this one, although it is supposed to run on the outside, this one is supposed to run on the outside. I bolted it too far in here, screwed it too far in here, which is fine. There was no other way of doing it. So now I have to figure out how to alleviate that. So I got to pull this all off, probably redo this wall, which, I mean, it's cardboard, so that'll be a couple of pennies to replace. I realized another failure, seeing as this needs to be taken apart and be able to be bent up. This duct tape might be okay, this one not so much, but as soon as I'm taking it off anyway, it's fine. So in one of my rare moments of brilliance, trying to think how I was going to attach this board to the top here, I realized that if I just cut another one of these out, I can just staple it on both sides. It'll be a little beefy, but hey, why not? So for multiple levels of strength, I'm going to not only staple the cardboard onto my strip of wood here, but I'm also going to glue it down using the old standby Elmer's school glue. Clamped it down, have my custom spacer in there, back, I'll staple down the side. Now, the other side. My clamp is too big. I'll have to staple that down later. Staple up to it for now. I just realized a problem. These staples, not good for cars. Elmer's glue, already stuck. Probably not the right tool for the job. Correct tool. I could put a cover on this. I just might. So that kind of takes care of that side. Now, what are we going to do about this side? Good question. Right, so duct tape and cardboard. I don't want to completely lose this little lip here. I think it's kind of neat. It might help. If it hurts, then I'll put cardboard the rest of the way around. Okay, got this piece to go back on. I lengthened it a little bit with some duct tape. Hey look, my glue did not stick. I had a fail on my adjustable for my ramp. The glue didn't hold. No big surprise there. I will have to try a new approach. Now, if you're wondering why I don't just screw it in, this material here is just pressed board, or I don't know what it's called. Basically thick cardboard, so things tend to pull out of it, so it's better to find an alternate. Plus, I have to screw through this, which is fairly thick, into this, which is fairly thin, and I don't want to do that, and I can't obviously screw in from the top because of the track. What I decided to go with was to just put two sides on this that the track will sit into, and get them close so it'll be nice and tight. Just a quick word of advice: before you screw into wood, especially older dry wood, always pre-drill to prevent it from cracking, especially if you're using small pieces like this, for instance. And there you go, it just sits in there, and then I can adjust how steep I want it over here. I may need to cut the bottom of this off. And then what I'll do is I'll maybe put some rows of screws up here for this to fit into, and then I can set it accordingly. Next thing I'm going to do now is make a better release system for this. I have an idea involving springs. All right, I found my solution. Just one of these that I had cut a part out of earlier for reasons unknown. Not sure why I cut it out, but anyway. And then this fairly heavy duty spring here. As you can see, when it's pushed in, it'll hold that closed and then out like that. Now I just have to find a way to keep it from coming all the way out. So this doesn't seem to pop out all that easily. It's fit in there pretty good, and it still slides well. So I think my plan now is to use this and then slide it down somehow so that it comes out the end here and will pop out. new plan. Have this pivot and cut this piece out. I think that'll be a better solution. Now in order for that to work properly, as you can see, there's a bit of a trough in here, so I have to put a spacer on this hole. And what I always find works best for spacers is just find a couple of oversized nuts. Maybe 2 washers. And then I'll just screw it all together with a deck screw, because why not? Fail. Alright, with the bolt a little bit closer, obviously it holds the nut in better. So, we'll do a test, pull the lever, and I think that my next step is testing